Hello out there in YouTube land. Author Mark Allen Gunnels here. I'm back again with another in my series where I am reading the poems that I wrote in junior high and high school to sort of give you a glimpse into the journey of a writer. Um, I'm going to read 4 today that are all on the same theme, and that theme is writing, sometimes very specifically poetry, because back then that was primarily what I wrote. But, writing was always very important to me from a young age. Like I said, I really got serious about it in junior high school. And that's when I started thinking of myself as a writer and wanting to be a published writer. And, this was back in the 80s, and I didn't become a published writer until 2005. So it didn't happen overnight, but I always had that desire. I always had that drive. I always had this feeling that writing was a part of me, that without it, and I did go through a period where I graduated college where I kind of got bogged down by the stress of adult life, and I kind of went away from writing for a little bit. And it was during that period that I realized when I'm not writing, I don't fully feel like myself. I feel like there's a piece missing. It's that important to me. And even back then, I kind of understood that. And so I wrote some poems about it. I'm going to start with one that is the oldest. And I'm pretty sure I typed this up in the typing class I took in 10th grade because I felt like if I wanted to be a writer, I had to learn to type. And this was before, it's not that computers didn't exist, but the average person didn't have a computer. But the average person might have a typewriter, and I did. And so I took a typing class with actual typewriters. And I'm pretty sure I just sat in that class one day when we didn't have a particular assignment and came up with this poem and typed it up. And it is called Inspiration. It's about writing with a little bit of humor in it. Sitting, searching for inspiration, but not a drop is found in me. Remembering the days when through my soul flowed beautiful poetry. And now I search inside myself, hoping to make a rhyme. But I fail, and then I fail again, time after every time. I want to express my feelings in words, but I can't find the words to tell. And since my life depends on writing, I am condemned to this empty hell. Oh, how shall I ever survive and live without poetry to take me through? A poem, oh, how I need a poem. This is the best that I can do. So, a little humor, a little tongue-in-cheek, but also talking about how important writing is to me. Everything, particularly when you're a teenager, everything is the most important thing. And writing was definitely that for me. And this one, I actually know when I wrote this one because I put a date on it, January 15th, 1991. I wrote a poem called My Life, and it's on a similar theme. This is my source of life, the poems I write. This is my very soul. When the pen meets paper, I just want to savor each moment the feelings flow. And then when I start, it is my heart that guides my hand so freely. And then when I stop to see what I've got, it is a piece of me. The words are feelings and deeper meanings of the things I believe in. If I couldn't write, I'd die inside. I need the power of my pen. It is my life, the poems I write. It is all I need. In every one, in each poem, these are my hopes and dreams. And writing really still is super important to me. I definitely still have that feeling that without it, I'm not really fully myself. I'm not fully Mark. I'm not quite so dramatic about it now. But I remember my husband and I being in a coffee shop one day, and there were some teenage girls at a table, and I remember hearing one of them say, "Writing is my life." And we kind of joke about it because it is so melodramatic, but everything at that age kind of is. And I like that. I like seeing passion in people. Okay, so the next one is called It's not that complex. And these are my ideas about the art of poetry. Poetry is not a science. It is an explosion of art. Poetry shouldn't be confined or conform to any specific format or guidelines. When I write, I set my heart free on paper. I pay no attention to grammar, punctuation, or iambic pentameter. I simply reach inside of me to that certain place in my soul, and I find a feeling, an idea, and I focus in on it. I don't try to analyze it or find out where it comes from. I just use it to inspire me. And then this undescribable force moves the pen across the page. And what results represents my very nature, everything I believe in, and everything I hold in my heart. So, how can my very being be judged according to style and technique? It's not that complex. It's quite simple, really. I mean, in some ways, I still feel this way about writing, that there are almost no rules. You follow your passion, you create your own style. And, there are things that people might not understand now that, in the future become heralded as classics, because the world just had to catch up with it. That doesn't mean I think my work is going to become classics. Definitely this poetry is not going to be considered classic, but I still believe in finding your own voice, your own style, and only following the rules that work for you. So the last one I'm going to read is called A Writer's Sestina. And a sestina is a very specific form of poetry that I've done several times because I love the challenge of it. There's a very rigid structure. There are several verses that are 6 lines, and each line throughout the whole poem is going to end with one of 6 words. So whatever 6 words end each line in the first stanza, every other line in that poem has to end with one of those words, but in a very specific format. Like, the word that ends the first line in the first stanza has to end the second line in the second stanza, but then it has to end the fourth line in the third stanza. So I'm not going to go into all the rules. You can Google it if you want to know the specific rules of a sestina. But it's a real challenge to fit a coherent poem into that rigid structure, and I love doing that. And so this one I called A Writer's Sestina. There is no more potent magic than the creation of a dream, the use of boundless imagination to weave a fanciful fantasy, to leave behind the dreary real world in exchange for endless creativity. The possession of creativity is indeed a kind of extraordinary magic. With it one can mold whole worlds from the fabric of a dream. One can craft tangible fantasies with the power of imagination. More precious than gold is imagination. An artist can use creativity as a tool, taking mere fantasy, and by the application of a little magic, turn what was merely a dream into something that can change the world. Oh, why would anyone in the world deny the power of imagination? Why would they renounce their dreams and allow their precious creativity to wither away? Why do they consider magic a childish and idiotic fantasy? I say that the real fantasy is the belief in the rationality of the world. The only reality is magic. I am a wizard of imagination, and I use my creativity to actualize my dreams. My whole life is a dream, one of continuous fantasy, and through my creativity I can alter the laws of this world. By the power of imagination, I have become a master at the art of magic. What the world needs is more magic, the application of creativity and imagination to turn our dreams and fantasies into reality. So, that's the most, I think, poetic of it, using a lot of imagery to be able to repeat those words, but have very separate stanzas that have their own feel. But again, those were just a bunch of poems I wrote about writing, about my desire to be a writer, my passion for it, what I felt it could do. And it's kind of fun looking back at that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again down the road.